There's no debate. Chapter 4 was great. Chapter 4. We are back with this book. This book is incredible. Seller Be Sold. Seller Be Sold. I'm not sure which way is the right way to do it for you, but Seller Be Sold. It's great. Chapter 4, I think karma came around. I was talking about how short these chapters are and how easy it is to read. Quick chapters, couple pages, that's a chapter. Not quite in chapter 4. You actually got to read a little, which can be difficult. In this chapter, in this giant chapter, he goes over 4 things: commitment, greener pastures, prediction, and observations. Each one of those, he goes so far in depth, it's awesome. A lot of reading, though. It's a pretty good sized chapter. I really love what he talks about regarding commitment. I think that it's a topic that no one really talks about anymore. We live in a society that wants instant results, instant gratification. We don't commit to things, see it all the way through, and complete it. Like I'm doing with these series of videos that everyone seems to be liking. Thanks for all the likes, comments, and subscriptions doing this. I'm committing to something, though. I'm committing to finishing the book and to giving myself an update. I think I'll look back on these videos, and save myself from reading it again. I always highlight my books I've shown you, and I always reread the highlighted parts later in life. But this time I think I can just log on and watch, which is pretty awesome. I'm committed to doing that. I'm going to see it all the way through, and this book kind of reconfirmed that today. They kind of gave me that notion of this is what I need to do. I need to commit to something, get some small wins, get some momentum going, small victories, small wins, and hopefully they turn into greater outcomes. When he talks about commitment, let's read a little bit about what he says. Again, not the greatest out loud reader, but we're going to give it a whirl. So how do you become one of the greats in your field? One of the masters. The very first step, and the most important one, is to commit all the way. Commit. To devote oneself completely to something. How often have you committed yourself to one thing and really, really pushed at that one thing? That's a good question. Really pause the video and ask yourself that. When's the last time you've truly, with a burning passion, committed yourself to anything? This inescapable truth is that to truly be great at anything, you must devote yourself to it completely. How does a person commit? Become a fanatic, 100% absorbed, all in, a super freak. Rick James style, baby, super freak, don't sue me. Committing is as simple as picking a place to park your car. Find a spot, pull in, get out of the car. Don't keep looking for another spot in which to park. Commit and be done with it. That's probably the simplest terms I've ever heard on how to commit. I'm going to go ahead and read that again. Committing is as simple as picking a place to park your car. Find a spot, pull in, get out of your car. You don't keep looking for another spot to park. Commit and be done with it. Again, he reiterates, commit and be done with it. I really, really love analogies. I learn that way. I find them super beneficial. But if someone asks me how to commit to something, I could easily say, become a fanatic, 100% absorbed, all in, be a Rick James super freak. But what I think is extra special is he puts committing is as simple as picking a place to park your car. Find a spot, pull in, get out of the car. Don't keep looking. You don't keep looking. Commit and be done with it. Commit to your life and your goals like parking your car at the supermarket. Okay, I know I bring up Tai Lopez a lot, and I do. It's not that I'm a big fan of Tai Lopez. I got into him about 5-6 years ago, and I thought he had a lot of good information. And one of the good informations I thought Tai Lopez offered was, he said, you can learn from anybody, from everybody, no matter who they are. And he used Arnold Schwarzenegger as a example. He said, you may not like everything about Arnold Schwarzenegger, but certain things he does have great advice on, or great life experiences on, and things you can learn from. So you take a little bit what you like of somebody and throw out the rest, right? He also used Donald Trump at a former point. Take a little bit of the good and then dismiss the rest. So steal a little bit from everybody, pass on what you don't like. Greener pastures. He always talked about sweeping your front porch. Tai Lopez used to talk about sweeping your own porch all the time. Quit looking at your neighbor's porch, sweep your own. And I was excited to read this section of chapter 4. The guy who thinks the grass is greener on the other side, over there, is the same guy who never commits to taking care of the pasture he already has. He winds up mediocre and miserable. What was he even doing looking at another pasture in the first place? He already has one that needs to be mowed. It's only better because he committed. So commit to your career. Commit to learning about selling. Commit to your product, service, and employees. Commit to learning everything you can and watch how much greener your career, or how much green your career will produce for you. Whenever I commit myself to any line of action, I get immediate results. When I'm not committed all the way, I found results are delayed or non-existent. Your commitment is the problem. Immediately, my pasture becomes green and my potential exploded. It was almost spiritual. No, it was spiritual. It was so dramatic, and that's the magic of commitment. If you want to be successful at anything, you have to commit. A burn the ship kind of mentality is what it takes to get you to a place where you'll do things that will ensure results. Pretty powerful. Commitment equals result. Let's try that again. Commitment equals results, which equals happiness. I had to sell them or lose them. It was a do or die situation. After I was hooked on sales. After that experience, I was hooked on sales. But I did not become a professional for 7 more years. Wow, he saw something that worked. Still took him 7 years to capitalize and become a professional. First thing you have to do is commit yourself to selling as something that is vital to your life, regardless of your career, but especially if you're in sales. Commit right now and watch what happens. Most people never commit like fanatics, and therefore they never become fantastic. Again, when is the last time that you committed to something like a fanatic? Dallas Cowboys football, probably for me. Prediction. Prediction is the greatest unknown, and very often unrecognized. Let's try all of that again. Prediction is the great unknown, and very often unrecognized asset of the professional. You have to start looking at everything that's happening, observe it accurately without emotion or blame, and make note of it. The ability to predict comes from assuming responsibility for what's going on around you and believing you can control it. You have to pay complete attention and record encounters. Then you'll start to see a finite set of patterns. I carried around an objection notebook and wrote down every customer objection. Later, I would study my notes and start to see that most of my customers were making similar comments. That's pretty true in sales. One customer would tell me something and I'd write it down. The next would tell me the same thing and I'd write that down too. When I began observing and taking responsibility for what was happening to me, I was able to predict what the prospect would say. More important, I was prepared to handle him. I could see the future, not because I was a psychic, because I had observed the past correctly. All masters in any career are able to predict things accurately. To predict is to know, and to know is to handle situations correctly. This will increase confidence and increase sales. How well are you at predicting something? I know I could get a little bit better at it. He goes on to talking about observation. Observation is the only way you'll learn how to predict. Observation is the only way you'll acquire a strategic understanding of the sales process, and it's the only way to develop your prediction abilities and become one of the greats. Remember, no matter what your job or role is in life, you need the ability to predict. Start observing where you are and where you're not getting your way, and start taking notes. Those who understand selling will get their way in life, and those who don't won't. That's a pretty powerful statement. I mean, you have to learn to predict by observing. Now, how much do you observe? I know I can go through life and go to places and do things and then leave and not remember anything about it because I'm just kind of going through the motion. To be honest, most of the time I have earpieces in. So I'm lost in my own world, kind of just moving through, right? In autopilot, if you will. And I think a lot of the world moves through autopilot. I can't be alone in that feeling. I have to wake up, start being accountable, observe things, learn to predict pattern behavior, and really focus on what I want and get out of autopilot, step out of the fog, wake up, be the best version of myself I can be, and not accept the laziness and the slacking and the lack of trying and the lack of paying attention. How often as children or in life have we been told, hey, pay attention, this is your wake-up call. This book might be your wake-up call.